So there are essentially three mental types and three physical types of meditation, uh, as really broad strokes of understanding. There's probably a whole lot more ways of understanding this, but this is one that I use as a helpful framework. It's pretty much fused from Buddhist and Taoist stuff, mainly Taoist. So anyway, three mental types, as I would codify them, would be single-pointed awareness, where you're attempting to maintain a specific focus, perhaps a bodily sensation like the breath right now, or any other physical sensation, kind of like a somatic experiencing vibe, or even like a drishti, like an external focus, right? Like I'm putting my awareness somewhere else and vibing on that. These are all in Taoist codifications yang styles of meditation that cultivate the focus, basically, the ability to exert will, essentially. So another type would be zero-pointed awareness. Instead of single-pointed awareness, you have zero-pointed awareness, where the focus is to defocalize the gaze and have no drishti, or be in the center of a three-dimensional field of drishti, where you're taking in all points of input with equanimity, right? As if the whole field of vision was all peripheral vision, as if everything you could hear was of equal importance, as if every thought that arose was equally empty, right? And I consider that to be, often I'll call that true meditation. It's the most yin style of meditation, is the least practiced, the least represented in modern, excuse me, in modern traditions. It's the hardest to get people to do, in my experience as a teacher, and it's the most fruitful and rewarding one in my experience as a student for the past 36 years practicing, because it most rapidly builds the pathway where you can take control of your central nervous system, not by like dominating it. And I say take control, but what I really mean is you can let go of all of the need to constantly be controlling and doing with your central nervous system for a little while, and actually choose to fall into a parasympathetic state without having to collapse from exhaustion to get there. And in modern Western culture right now, collapsing from exhaustion is frankly the pathway that 99% of people, the only pathway that they even know how to get to a parasympathetic state at all, is just to go until they crash, and then maybe they'll get a little bit of restorative time while they're down. If you're lucky, you can afford to go get a massage once in a while. And if your massage therapist is good and you know how to breathe and chill a little bit, maybe you'll get there then too. But this is something you can do like anytime, every day for the rest of your life. And it allows you to choose to take your central nervous system parasympathetic and remain conscious in the same exact way that people talk about like an ayahuasca experience being a longer, more conscious version of a DMT experience, so that you can retain a bunch more of the information from that experience after it's over. This is also true of staying conscious while you go parasympathetic. You get to actually like experience it more, instead of just sort of waking up later and being like, yeah, I think I had decent sleep for once. It's pretty cool. I highly recommend it. It's phenomenal. In fact, in my personal experience, it's way cooler than psychedelics like DMT or ayahuasca or LSD or psilocybin, all of which I have profound respect for, as I believe them as a Taoist person. I am an animist, and I actually believe those things do what they do on purpose because they are intelligent and attempting to be allies to us. However, no one is a better advocate for yourself than yourself. When you make friends with your central nervous system, you start meditating, you get different levels of benefits. And it doesn't cost you anything either. You don't have to go pick shrooms or nothing. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. The third mental type of meditation I would codify as guided or visualized experience. There's a whole lot of value to it. I'm actually not trying to denigrate any of these different methods, with the exception of one of the physical branches, which I'll get to later. But that's really more about an imbalance in modern lifestyle than anything else. It's not really the fault of the meditation method, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Back to third mental type, right? Third mental type of visualization or guided experiences. Using what the Chinese Taoists call the Yi, the hologram projecting abilities of the mind, right? You could perhaps, do like what people call astral travel work, or like dream yoga in this kind of branch, yoga nidra in this kind of branch. A lot of really cool stuff can happen in this branch, and it's a really good way to have somebody lead you by the hand into the parasympathetic promised land. If you're not experienced at chilling yourself the F out, it can be a really, really good way to get there. Enough said about the three mental branches. The three physical branches, as I see them, as I codify them, are essentially standing meditations, which includes moving meditations for the most part, although you could theoretically turn any of the other branches into moving meditations to a more limited degree. You got standing, you got sitting, you got lying down. And these codifications, since they're physical, are much more like mundane and surface level, not as complex. I can't talk about them for nearly 10 minutes like I could about the mental types, right? All I'll really say is standing is by far the most developmental and healing for integration amongst all levels of being, body, mind, soul, spirit, emotion, etc. Standing is going to develop new capacities better than sitting or lying down. Sitting has very limited value in the modern world, in my opinion, simply because we do way too much of it every day anyway, and we're already suffering from pattern overload due to that. So I only do seated meditation if some sort of injury or other like situational thing is kind of limiting me, or like to hang out with friends, like, because most people do their meditation seated. So if I want to like have a group that isn't me teaching Tai Chi or Qigong, and I want to actually be led by somebody else, I usually have to sit. And then lying down. Lying down is amazing. I highly recommend it. I honestly think that lying down is the best way to start to learn to meditate if you are not a meditator, for several reasons. A, it's the easiest. B, it's not bad for you like sitting is. And C, it will reveal to you where your levels of depletion and nervous system taxation really are very quickly. Because basically what will happen is, if you're new to meditating and you're trying to learn to do it and you're lying down, if you are tired, you will fall asleep. And that's good. If you're that sleepy, you should just sleep. You should let your meditation turn into a nap. That's a win. And eventually that'll stop happening, and you'll start to stretch out the experience of consciousness during a parasympathetic state. You'll start to have more sort of dreamlike or visionary or whatever internal sensory experiences you may have. It's not my job to tell you what you're going to feel, that's for sure. But I can teach you how to practice, and I highly recommend that if you're totally brand new to meditation but want to get started, you start by lying on your back on the floor and using some sort of physical feedback. Your hand is probably enough, both hands may be better. That can end up uncomfortable on some people's shoulders or elbows depending on where you're lying down and how tense your joints are and things like that. If you aren't comfortable with something like this, to take a book and put it right on your belly, just below your navel, and breathe in such a way that you can feel that book lift up off of you when you inhale and settle back down onto you when you exhale. And just every time you notice that you're thinking about something else, just go, oh, that's me thinking. What does that book feel like right now? Let me go back to that sensation. What does it feel like? Ooh, where is that breath? What does it feel like to lift that book and to be gently touched, caressed in the belly by the weight of that book as I exhale? That's it. That's the whole thing. That's the entire set of instructions. And if you do that consistently for like even 10 minutes a day for 10 days in a row, I 100% promise you, you're going to feel something, and you're probably going to want more of it. Keep practicing.